What's up, YouTube? Thanks so much for joining us for this week's video highlights. In this week's episode, I talked to Greg Eissens, a good friend of mine, about how to work well with personalities who may be different from you or have different leadership styles from you. If you like the video clips that we're showing here on YouTube, make sure to check out the full audio version through the link in the description. Thanks so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy. So talk a little bit more about that and kind of how that strength builds on, what you're doing even now,
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, I think the strength really plays into effect is when I find people just like you, that have such clear vision and such an organized plan, but they need a little flavor, honestly, for lack of a better word, but I need a little flavor in their idea to really make the vision like fully come to life. And that's what I'm saying. I really enjoy it, just like Taylor. So actually, you're just like Taylor, surprisingly. He's just like that, very structured, organized, kind of by the book type of guy. And a lot of times he calls me his right hand man because literally he needs something done and I can just bring it to life. And I think, but just on the opposite side of that, where I can do that, I need his structure to be able to blossom as the spontaneous person I am, because without that structure, then I get lost in track. So right. I think that's where that balance comes in, is having those two personalities really can make each other just like go to the whole next level. Just like, looking back at us in the youth room, I needed your hand to push me down and say, get your planning center done. Like I need to know this 7 days in advance so I can practice, because that really gave you guys time to rehearse. But at the same time, I'm sitting there just throwing different ideas, and maybe the Holy Spirit comes over me. I'm like, oh, but this song would be so much better. And that's where that can benefit, but the structure needs to be there. And that is like just an extra addition, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and I like that balance and the complement side of personalities. It's interesting that Taylor, the guy that you're working with now, has that more structured personality, and you guys also work really well together, because it really is about surrounding yourself with people who are going to complement you, and being self-aware that, for me, like, I'm a very structured, organized person. A lot of times the things that I'm looking for when I'm surrounding myself with people is creativity, is a lot of times, because it's something, when I'm thinking of like creating a structure, something that's lost a lot of times is that creativity. And so, like, for you, a reason that we work so well together with writing music or, playing music and stuff, is that you're going to be constantly coming up with new ideas and new ways to do things, versus me, I'm like, all right, we're going to listen to this recording and play it how, you know what I mean? So right. I'm very like, all right, we're going to imitate, and we know someone else has already done it well. And you're like, all right, let's, how can we innovate? Like, how can we come up with new guitar licks or piano lines, all that type of stuff? And it really does. It works well together because we both build those strengths. We need the structure, but we also want that creative, spontaneous aspect of it. Yeah, Greg, I know you had done a little bit more study with kind of personalities and how personalities interact. Do you have anything that advice you would give for introverts maybe working with extroverted people?
For sure. Really what I've learned from introverts is how, and I'm going to say this because I think it works both ways. But what I've learned from extroverts is just how to like take a step back and not listen to so many voices coming in. I think as an extrovert, I just want to talk to people. I just want to go, and like that. And then on top of that, I'm a spontaneous person, so go figure it. It's like 1,000 different things coming at me. But with introverts, they sit back a lot of times. They just listen and they sit and think, and they really figure out what they believe, or what the best thing to bring to the table is, or whatever that may be. So I would say for introverts, grow from your extroverts in the same way. Maybe you don't have enough. Maybe you don't have like enough input or enough understanding of something. Then learn from those extroverts the exact same way. So I think there's a beautiful thing of both being extrovert and introverted, and you can both learn some great things to take a step back, because we both can get just caught up in who we are, like 100%. Like when we can be extremely too extroverted and extremely too introverted, all in the same. And that's where like life is the balance. Like balance always comes into play in every spectrum.
No, that's such a good point. And I think that idea of like listening or just, really being able to like take a step back is important, because us as extroverts are constantly trying to give our opinion and, put out. And a lot of times what I do find, with introverts, it's like they're much more willing to evaluate other different things. They're willing to see different sides of it, and then come to a lot of times come to kind of a more logical conclusion and bring us a perspective that we might not have had, because we're constantly like throwing out other stuff without, especially for me, a lot of times I am like, all right, I have this is the first idea I had, I'm going to say it and it's going to be right. And I think a lot of times that's something that we have to learn, and it really helps how we're interacting with people. Self-awareness is so important. Self-awareness for anybody, no matter what you want to do, no matter what you are interested in, because a lot of people, if you don't understand yourself, you can't understand where other people are coming from or how you're going to interact with people. So a one that's really common, especially in college, that I've seen is Myers-Briggs, with, the introvert or extrovert and the, INTJ or ESTJ, right, or whatever your 4 letters are. But if you haven't taken something like that, where it's not that you're locked into this exact personality or anything like that, because it's never going to be 100% perfect, but you're going to see these things in those types of tests that you're like, oh my gosh, like that's true. I didn't really think about myself like that before. And when you start to see yourself in that light, you start to have that self-realization. And that's where you can start interacting with other people better and realizing, like what we realize, it's like, how are our strengths going to benefit each other? I think people, it's so good that you said, focus on your strengths, because people, especially in today's world where everyone, it's so easy to see what people's strengths and weaknesses are. People are so focused on their weaknesses and like, oh, I need to just be growing in my weaknesses. But like you're saying, you have these great strengths. You don't have to be this perfect project manager. You can be the best creative builder dude that is around. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need for you to be the one that's managing 10 people building if you can be the best one that's leading the building project, right? Like, so, and that's the same with anything. You're going to have people telling you what you're bad at. And so you need to be, at the end of the day, focused on what you're good at and really building and using that. And yes, you want to be balanced. You want to have a good balance of things. But at the end of the day, capitalizing, like finding what you're good at and then capitalizing on what you're good at is how you're going to see the most productivity and growth.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. And constantly growing, whether it's communication or the way you're doing things or personality, all of those things are adding into what will make you and people in general better leaders, better mentors, and just better people in general. And so that's definitely been what I've been focused on, is talking through what types of things are going to make me a more effective leader, a better communicator. And so just bringing in that side of things has really helped to unlock different things and hear things from different perspectives that I hadn't before.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to like and subscribe, and click the link in the description to follow us on Instagram and listen to the full audio version. We'll see you again next week.